Welcome to a brand new series here on this channel. On College Football 25, we will be jumping into an Oklahoma Sooners slow sim dynasty. Now I feel like that title is pretty self-explanatory, but I will quickly explain what that is. I will not be jumping into every single game to play it. I will be super simming most of the game, and occasionally we will jump in and do a slow sim to see exactly how well the team is playing. I have done similar series like this in Madden in the years past, and I am super excited to finally get to jump in and do it on a college football game, and we're going to start this off by using my favorite team. But let's go ahead and jump in. Starting at head coach, Brent Venables is no longer here, and head coach Aaron Knight will come in as a level 1 coach. I unlocked the recruiter ability first, and we have unlocked the advanced look to try to scout some offensive linemen. Our offensive coordinator this season will be Mex Keys, a tactician, so he has several of those unlocked over in this tree, as you can see here, but he also has several of the recruiter ability unlocked, so that should really be able to help us out. Our defensive coordinator is going to be Jaden Caleb, and he is listed as a motivator, so obviously he will have a few of these unlocked, which is really good for us, but he also has the Scheme Guru ability unlocked and several of those done. But enough about the coaches. The rest of this introductory episode, we will be going over the key players on this team along with the entire roster, and then we will wrap up this episode by setting up our entire recruiting board going into the season. We have to begin with the most important position on the team, and that is quarterback, and it will be Jackson Arnold leading us this season. It will be his first season as the starter in a collegiate program. Last season he backed up Dylan Gabriel here at Oklahoma, but he will be coming in with 93 throw power, 93 throw on the run, 90 throw under pressure. I think he's going to develop into a really good quarterback. Behind him, we have Casey Thompson, who is going to be a redshirt senior, so he will obviously be gone after this year. And fun fact, his older brother actually played for us at one point. That was Kendall Thompson. Then we have our sophomore third string in Jake Wakefield at a 74 overall, and then a 69 overall true freshman quarterback and Brendan Zerbrug. I probably said your name wrong, but he does have 90 speed. I am super excited to see this guy take the field though. Our sophomore running back Gavin Sawchuk. He's going to come in as an 87 overall already. You can see he has great agility, change of direction, and juke move, but on top of that, he also has 98 speed and 97 acceleration. And behind him, we still have a really solid running back room. We have an 82 overall in Justin Beebe. I really hope I said your name right. If I mispronounce any of these names, I do apologize. I'm not fully familiar with everyone on this team just yet, but we do have Taylor Tatum, who's going to come in right now as an 80 overall, but I think he has some sort of boost because his rating in the top right over there does say 78, but behind him we have Emeka Megwa, who is a 78 overall as well. Then we have Caleb Hicks, who is a 77, and then Javante Barnes, who is a 75 as a junior. I used to be really excited about Barnes, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of him in this series. This guy is not going to be a key player for us, but I did want to pull up his player card because this 65 overall Kelvin Tucker is actually the only fullback we have on the entire roster right now. Now, there are several wide receivers I want to highlight on this team, but we're going to start with Nick Anderson, a true sophomore, 86 overall with a star depth chart, as you can see on the bottom left, and he comes in with some really solid ratings. I wish he was a little bit faster, but that 90 speed isn't going to be bad. The next guy up is coming off of an injury, and that is Andrell Anthony. Last year, I felt like he was playing really well until he got hurt. He should be back and fully healthy this season. I am excited to see what he can do. Then we have wide receiver Jaleel Farouk, and really, this guy is just one of those guys on the team that is just pretty consistent and pretty reliable for us. Should be a solid receiver for Jackson Arnold this year, but he is in his final year. And then last but most certainly not least, Dion Burks, the transfer receiver from Purdue. I am super excited to see what he can do. An 88 overall. He's going to come in with 93 agility. Let's see what his ratings are down here. 93 speed, 98 acceleration. What about route running? That's going to be an 89, 90, and an 88. Should be an amazing receiver for Jackson Arnold. Those will be our top receivers going into the season, and outside of them, I feel like we still have some pretty solid depth. Jaden Gibson's an 83 overall. Fierro is a 73. I really wish I could edit numbers. That number 41 on a receiver just feels wrong. Then we have Zion Kearney, a true freshman, 71 overall. A 70 overall in Chadwick Queen. A 70 overall in Ivan Carrion. And then a 64 overall in Makai Towns Moore. There is no one at tight end that I really want to highlight. We have a solid tight end and an 82 overall Jake Roberts. He's backed up by a 76 overall in Bauer Sharp. I probably said his name wrong. Then we have Caden Helms, who's a 75, a 74 overall Cade McIntyre, a 72 overall Davon Mitchell, and a 57 overall in Ben Anderson. You are probably not going to be on the team next season. For the offensive line, we have an 80 overall left tackle backed up by two 74 overall left tackles. At left guard is an 81 backed up by a 74 and a 70. At center is an 81 backed up by a 76, 74, and a 68. Right guard is going to be an 81 backed up by a 76 and a 69 overall. And then right tackle is an 83 backed up by an 81 and a 70. Now we finally get to move over to defense, and there will be some players that I am going to highlight on this side of the ball, but not at left end. The main one we have is Caden Willard, who is an 85 overall right now, backed up by Trace Ford, who is an 80, and then R. Mason Thomas, who is also an 80 overall. But we are definitely going to highlight this right end in David Stone, a 5-star true freshman coming in as an 80 overall. I don't know if he's going to be our main defensive end, but I am excited to see how he develops. But as of right now, Ethan Downs is probably going to be listed as the starter, but I definitely want to see some of David Stone this year. Aside from that, we have a 78 overall in Chuck Candy, a 75 in Nigel Smith, a 73 in Wyatt Gilmore, and a 71 in Taylor Ween. Over at defensive tackle, we have an 86 overall here, but I don't know how to say his name, and I really don't want to assume it is demonic because that's what it looks like to me, but he will come in as an 86 overall. Then we have DeJohn Terry, who is an 80 overall, a 77 overall in Grayson Halton, a 74 in Ashton Sanders, and a 73 in Jaden Jackson. Now we get to move on to outside linebacker, and I'm not going to try to say this guy's name. He's just going to be known as Samuel, but he is an 80 overall. Then we have Deshaun McCullough coming in as a 79, and then we have James Nesta as a 71. Now, if we go over here to right outside linebacker, you can see we have Kip Lewis at an 82, Jaron Kanek at an 80, then we have Lewis Carter as a 78, and then Danny Okoye as a 65. Now, this guy, I really expected him to be a little bit higher rated. He was a 4-star athlete, but comes in as a 65 overall. But then we have the heart and soul of this defense in Danny Stutzman, a 92 overall. He is a senior, so this will be his final season here, but he is an incredible player for us. 94 tackling, 92 pursuit, 86 block shed, 81 speed, 91 acceleration, and then he has 98 play rec and 97 awareness. He should be a monster for us. And behind him, we have Kobe McKenzie, who is going to come in as a 79 overall redshirt sophomore. I don't expect him to have to find the field a whole lot, just sit behind Stutzman and learn. This is probably the best the Sooners secondary has looked in a really, really long time. Woody Washington will be our number 1 corner with an 88 overall. Gentry Williams will be our number 2 corner with his 86 overall and 97 speed. Then we have Des Malone, who will come in as an 80 overall. Kendall Doby, who will also come in as an 80 overall. Makari Victors, who is also going to be an 80 overall. Then we have Jacoby Johnson as a 78. Kanai Walker, or Kaney Walker, I'm not real sure which, 77 overall. Jocelyn Malaska, whatever, 76 overall. And then Therese Jackson's a 71. Our best free safety is going to be Robert Spears Jennings at an 81 overall. Then we have Eric McCarty at a 73. Then we have Jaden Hardy at a 73. And then Michael Boganowski, yeah, I definitely did not say that one right, but he's a 70 overall. There are actually going to be 2 strong safeties that I want to highlight here. The first one is Billy Bowman, who is a 90 overall going into his final season here. 88 awareness, 86 play rec. Come down here, he has 94 speed, 97 acceleration. He is going to be a key part of this defense. And then we have Peyton Bowen, another guy that we brought in as a 5-star player. He will most likely be replacing Billy Bowman next season, but we will be finding the field for him this year. And past our top 2 guys in Bowman and Bowen, we have Reggie Powers, who is a 76 overall as a true freshman, so he could also develop pretty nicely. We have 2 kickers on the roster. I'm not real sure which one I'm going to be starting, but we have Tyler Keltner, who is a 74 overall, and Zach Schmidt, who is a 72. And then at punter, we have a 76 overall and Luke Elzinga. And now we get to build our recruiting board for the start of this season. You can see here it shows we need a couple quarterbacks, a couple receivers, but mainly we need offensive linemen, 1 left tackle, 1 right guard, and then 2 left guards and 2 right tackles. That is actually a bit to need over on offense. Apparently over on defense, though, we need a bit more. It's showing 2 left ends, 2 defensive tackles, 1 outside linebacker, 3 middle linebackers, 1 corner, and 2 safeties. What about special teams? We need 1 kicker and 1 punter. I am not going to go through here and talk about every single person I am adding to the recruiting board, but I will say I am definitely going to add Nick Olvera, even though it's not a position of need apparently. Whatever he is, he's listed as an athlete. He is a 5-star, and we are his top-rated school. We're also going to go down here and add James Lopez. Well, I've added a few more guys here and obviously started scouting some of them, but Nick Olvera, the guy that was really interested in us as the 5-star, is unfortunately listed as a bust. Now that doesn't mean he's going to be completely and totally worthless, but I don't know how exactly hard I'm going to be pushing for this guy. I will obviously have to go over my entire list and really reorganize everything, but I want to go over some of my favorite players that I found in this process, like wide receiver Brian Genus out of St. Louis, Missouri. He is 6'4", but comes in with 94 speed, 89 acceleration, has really solid catching attributes, is a 4-star athlete, but is a gym, which means he is a 5-star caliber player. Now, past him, we still have wide receiver James Lopez. I did not notice until just now that he is only 5'7". We'll see if he can stay on our board, but he does have some pretty solid ratings. We added several offensive linemen. In fact, the next 4 players are all offensive linemen, and they are all gem prospects. So if I can land all of these guys, that would be amazing. We then added a couple left ends in Jaleel Brockle and Ben Huey. I'm going to try to get both of these guys. We got another few offensive linemen like Darren Gills, who is a right tackle, Matt Nails, who is a right tackle, and then Angelo Masafilo? Yeah, I probably said that wrong. Either way, he's a left guard. We then added athlete Jaden Gaskin. Now, this is the reason the other guy, I believe his name was like Nick something, the 5-star that I was just showing you guys, he is the reason, Jaden Gaskin is the reason that he was taken off this board. Because he is an athlete at quarterback with 94 throw power and 95 speed. I think he can be incredibly amazing for us. Then we got Jose Power at wide receiver. So obviously those receivers at the top are not the only ones I'm going for. Middle linebacker Jake Kaminsky. Then we have wide receiver J.D. Nicholson. Middle linebacker Joey Lucky. Then we have a few corners in Deontay Warmack, Enrique Cottonzero, and then Isaac Carell. Then the last couple players on this board are both safeties that I did not get to fully scout out, but we do get to offer 1 scholarship here, I believe, and we're going to go ahead and do it to Brian Genus, just because I feel like that's the best available player right now. I am not going to be changing anything about the Sooners' schedule for the upcoming season, so obviously we will start with a bye week. Then we have a stretch of 4 home games with Temple, Houston, Tulane, and Tennessee. Then we will travel to Auburn for our first official road game in the SEC. Then we have a bye week, then the Red River rivalry, then we will take on South Carolina and Norman, travel to Ole Miss, then we take on an FCS school, then we are at Missouri, a bye week, a home game against Alabama, and then we are at LSU. Following that is the Army-Navy week, and then the conference championship game should we make it that far. And while doing some scouting in week 0, Troy Wilkins ends up being a gem of a strong safety. What about Elkins? Can we get lucky enough to have 2 of these guys end up being gems? No, we cannot. So Elkins, for right now, you are off the board. And Wilkins, we're going to go hard after you, I guess. So let's go ahead and throw a scholarship at him. And then we'll add an action of contact friends and family. Advancing past that week, we got a lot of guys that are now going into their top 8. Now, granted, it is a bunch of 3- and 4-star prospects, so it does make sense for this early in the season for them to be doing it. I just didn't expect that many to do it, and apparently Garcia's gone into his top 5. But that wraps up this introduction video, and in the next episode, we will get into week 1 as we take on Temple in Norman.